Yeah. So, I feel like I've been wanting to see the Callisto Protocol. Although I told my sister-in-law Rana that she's getting me the brand new video game on the Xbox Series XS. I had painful memories discovering why Strange World became a box office bomb. Specifically because it had a budget of $180 million and it only bombed out probably around a minimum amount of $4.1 million. Well, despite being a fun movie, it just brings me back painful memories of what I am going to review. As I know the Callisto Protocol, this video game about the adventures of Lee and his pals traveling to an out of this world dimension to battle horrible monsters that came from undersea within the depths of space, is very reminiscent to that of SpongeBob SquarePants. I know that SpongeBob SquarePants, this iconic nickname from 1999 to today, might have influenced the producers Scott Whitney and Glenn Schofield to come up with this idea. On the moon Callisto, as Jacob is forced to team up with Max with the help of Leon Ferris and Diane Nakamura to discover the true secret of their lives, we need to tackle Atlantis, the Lost Empire. So, I don't know what happened to the production. I'm guessing when the production started in 1996, probably after The Hunchback of Notre Dame came out in cinemas, Don had Gary Trousdale and Kirk Wise originally conceived the common depiction of what Atlantis was going to be like as a crumbled Greek columns underwater sort of mechanism. If they looked at Mayan architecture as well as the architectural forms of Cambodian, Indian, and Tibetan works for inspiration of it was planned to be an action adventure rather than being a musical. Although thanks to breaking old trends, it wouldn't be about musicals all the time. Instead of being a musical, it would be more of an action adventure film. Like in the same vein today of Indiana Jones, we'll put the pieces with Beastly Kingdom. Since Atlantis the Lost Empire was based on an unproduced theme park that Michael Eisner conceived it back around the late 1980s, when Disneyland Pirates became a huge failure, Beastly Kingdom became scrapped in what this concept could have looked like. As it says, it would take inspiration from Western architecture of its mythologies, of what they could have studied on it. However, outside of the Mayans, they would pretty much combine it with Submarine Voyage's first attempt to be revamped. Well, for Submarine Voyage, it had a really tragic backstory that Finding Nemo would take its spot from. It originally ran from 1959 to 1998 as development of the film started. In order to save the submarine voyage from dying, Fire Mountain would be a pretty good idea to create this concept. The concept was very interesting under its working title. And this is what the movie would have looked like if it was successful enough to get the attraction ready. So it would have taken place in 1916, 2 years after the first film and before the sequel Miles Return had happened. This time, Whitmore and his company have staged a Jungle Cruise-esque base camp at the edge of the railroad path, but the mountain itself is outside the berm, where he seeks to make Atlantis' existence open to the public and offer the expeditions to the visitors in newly developed vehicles. However, despite the mishaps, the vehicles would be forced to make a detour through the lava-filled caverns of the volcano, a la Gollum, and the attraction will use a unique hybrid ride system, where it began as a standard coaster, but the trains will hook up to a suspended track midway to fly through the caverns. Even though this idea, although it was also combining it with the aspects of Bald Mountain, To put the pieces together, what Bald Mountain was also going to be connected to what we were supposed to be getting Atlantis. As we continue the ride, as they fly through the caverns, things take a turn for the worst. As in what the theme park was going to happen in this climax, they travel to the dark, morose caverns of a giant demon called Chernobog, who summons his minions to get everyone killed within the fireable kill, who would flick everyone within his realm of evil. To make things worse, within the edge of darkness, the light of day would send him back once where he was. Within this process, he felt like he was a poor, unfortunate victim of some unfortunate timing to do something. Yeah, that's kind of familiar of what this was going to be like. However, when this movie came out on June 3rd, 2001, it unfortunately bombed at the box office. On a budget of $90 million to $120 million, it bombed at $186.1 million. As I might have explained what the story was going to look like, now we have to tackle the real story. In 6800 BC, the explosion sends the tsunami towards the city of Atlantis, but the queen leaves Princess Kida behind and is lifted up to a floating crystal, which merges the queen and creates a protective dome over the innermost district, which sinks beneath the waves. However, over 10 years later, in 1914, Milo James Thatch, who is an archaeologist, is ridiculed of a dream of finding Atlantis, is introduced by Preston B. Whitmore and Helga Sinclair, who are their oldest friends to him. Although who appears to be his grandfather, Preston explains that he made a bet with Milo and Helga to fund his expedition to Atlantis to give him the Shepherd's Journal, a book describing the history and path to Atlantis, offering him the place in the expedition. However, Preston's expedition is heated by Commander Rourke. Yeah, that's better. Although he hires demolitions expert Vinny, geologist Mollery, medical officer Dr. Sweet. Sounds like Dr. Seuss and Sweet Tooth for Twisted Metal thrown into one. Mechanic Audrey, radio operator Miss Packard, the chef Cookie, and dozens of soldiers to do the bidding. So the submarine, the Ulysses, where everyone is aboard, a la the Titanic, gets attacked and destroyed by a mechanical Leviathan that guards the entrance to Atlantis, a la Avatar The Way of Water meets Titanic. But a handful of survivors who have survived have faked their own deaths following the journal. From the journal, they travel through the dormant volcano a la Golem and eventually arrive at Atlantis, where they have to meet the still young Princess Kida. But however, the embedded Kida is against everyone's wishes that she enlisted everyone to help Atlantis regain the glory of its culture and the knowledge they have to use it from being decayed for too long. I know. Milo learns that a huge crystal is the heart of Atlantis, gives everyone longevity. And once it powers the devices with smaller crystals that they all wield throughout their clothes, they discover that Rocky and the rest of the crew have known all along the crystal was used by the expedition as part of, Rocky's master plan to steal it and destroy Atlantis. Although, an angry Rocky fatally punches the king when he refuses to give up the location of the crystal, but discovers the crystal's chamber, specifically that he senses a threat. But the crystal merges with Kida, but Rourke imprisoned her in a crate in what Rourke tricked Kida into doing this, whereupon Milo convinces the crew to turn on Rourke and win to be party to be an innocent people's extinction. Rourke, Helga, and the soldiers start for the surface, which is like surface pressure meets Indiana Jones, with Kidder destroy the badge and trap everyone behind. The dying king gives Milo his own crystal, explaining he needs to weaponize the heart which caused the prior explosion at the fate of his wife. He says the crystal selects a royal host when the city is in danger and begs Milo to save Atlantis and Kidder, who will be lost to the crystal forever if not separated from it in time. So Milo and his friends rally the Atlanteans to reactivate the flying machines and pursue the mercenaries of the miscreants. They quickly defeat Rocky's men, but Rocky and Helga nearly escape Kidder, but Rocky betrays Helga and throws her to her death. As she dies, she shoots the airship containing Kidder's crate, with Rocky and Milo fighting, but the bullet damages the airship, and the airship over the heart burns itself. Milo then slashes Rocky with a crystal-charged shard of glass, turning Rocky into a crystal monster, before being shattered by the airship's propellers, killing him within the process. But the airship awakens the volcano when it crash lands. Milo and the rest flee to Atlantis with Kidder, who is still merged with the crystal, rises into the sky and awakens the ancient stone guardians who rise from the flooded portion of Atlantis, creating a dome to protect it from the lava flow. Once the danger is neutralized, the crystal returns Kidder alive to Milo. Milo as a reward for saving from Rocky and Helga, elects to stay in Atlantis with Kidder, for whom he has fallen in love, and the rest return to his service, promising to keep their adventures secret to preserve Milo's safety within Atlantis. During the film's epilogue, Preston learns the truth from the photographs taken by Miss Packard, as well as the Atlantean crystal that Milo sent him as a gift of gratitude. All I can say is, while the CGI animation is quite uniquely nice, it was identified for being a lackluster creativity of what Shrek perfected his formula. Although a planned spin-off TV series got canned specifically because it never won an Oscar nominee because of Shrek winning the Oscars. Despite Shrek winning the Oscars and the decent soundtrack and the nice special effects and pretty good CGI animation on its vehicles and use of 2D animation of the characters, it's a must-have for what I saw it. Inspired by the works of Jules Verne, its planned TV series got canned after 9/11 happened. Although, despite the solidness of what I saw in this movie, I am going to give this movie probably an 8.6 out of 10. Because I've learned that Atlantis, The Lost Empire, is one of my favourite Disney movies growing up with during the post-Renaissance era. Because I like the post-Renaissance era better than the Renaissance era. You could respect my opinion, but that's all I can say about this. Thanks to Josh Whedon, who was involved in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Toy Story, he lended his hand to be involved in it. With the help of Michael J. Fox, Chris Summer, James Garner, Leonard Nimoy, Don Neville, Phil Morris, Claudia Christian, Bryce Zebo, and her brother Jackie Zebo. It would also feature Floyd Stanley, John Mahoney, David Odkinsters, and Corey Burton. And it's kind of unique that, thanks to the inspiration of Mike Mignola of what they took the distinctive visual style, I personally love this movie. Despite the mixed reviews, I realized it also won Best Sound Editing at the 2002 Golden Reel Awards, and it had 7 Annie Awards as well. But that's all I can say about this movie. But if you would hit the like button, you could subscribe it to now. So this is me, Solo Kaimona, signing off. Bye-bye!